This morning on ITV, and ethics education, a catalyst for corporate governance reform, is what we're about right about now. And discussing this, like I said earlier, we have the former Dean, Faculty of Life Sciences, University of Benin, and is also the current member of the Governing Council, University of Benin, and he is the senior pastor of Grace Vine Chapel. And join me as we make welcome Reverend Professor Jerry Orwe. Big thanks for coming.
Good morning, Philip. Good morning, viewers. It's my pleasure of being here today.
All right, big thanks for joining. Let's hit the road on what we have here, because we know that gradually we seem to be losing values in Nigeria, and of course as regards building corporate governance. And what do you see as ethics education? Because I see this as a catalyst for development in corporate governance. And how is it essential to corporate governance?
Well, thanks again, Philip. It's a pleasure being here again, and I feel very honored to have to be called upon to share my thoughts on these subjects. For starters, there are two principal human factors that would support the growth, the success, and the longevity of impact of any organization.
Yeah.
And these two factors would would revolve around the competencies as well as the character of the men and women that have been hired to drive these processes. Ethics education focus on the second, which is the development of the right character, inculcation of the right values for those who are expected to drive whatever process that they may be. Now, the challenge is this. Almost all our curriculum, from primary to university education, seem to have placed overemphasis, if you allow me to use that word, on the acquisition of the requisite competencies. You know, we're dealing with skill acquisition, we're dealing with, whether at vocational level or at other formal education level, we have consistently emphasized the acquisition of skills and technicality. Not so much, if at all, attention is given to development of character. Even in universities where we'll say degrees are given fixed in character and in learning, if you look at the curriculum, you won't see anything. And there's a reason why you have people who have been through school as Scottish graduating, and some of them big first class. So we have emphasized people, we have trained people to have good heads and perhaps good hands, but with very poor character. And it's the reason why things largely are not working, because no matter how good you are in terms of the things you do, if your character is defective, you're only going to be an intelligent criminal. And that's where we are, you know, as it were.
Okay, for us to unpack this and make sure that we have the right values and, of course, the components for corporate decision making that can, you know, transcend and overhaul, you know, raise a corporate society for a corporate governance. What do you see as key components to start off the learning process?
Well, first things first, I think it will be important for us to recognize the fact that as a nation we have really not paid attention to this. But I also must quickly here say that this is not just a national problem. Agree that the challenges may be more here in Nigeria and in Africa, where we really don't pay attention to character, where we don't pay attention to so much to value, but it's actually a global problem. Several global organizations have collapsed, you know, because of lack of ethics. It is argued really that most businesses crumble more for lack of ethics and character than for lack of competence within the organization. For starters, you asked me, well, I think the first thing is we need to go back first and foremost to moral trainings at home. These are the days where people, for instance, celebrate your children who bring in so much money into the house without even bothering to ask, where did you get this from? I'll give you an example. Many years ago, as a student in the secondary school, my father's house was right behind at the law college, where I also schooled as a student. So, we used to do many jobs, clear grass and all of that. So we hired at some point to clear grass in a one compound just behind, one abandoned building just behind the college. And while we're clearing grass, we saw, desk school desks that were thrown across the fence. I mean, they've been there for a long time. So we were happy. Myself and my elder brother were happy, and then we took them home, got painted. Finally we've got reading desk and all of that. That same day, my father walked into our room and I said, "Where did you get this from?" I said, "They were thrown away." He said, "Thrown away by who?" As I am looking at you now, take them back to wherever you got them from. We had to. I mean, we're not happy doing it because we have put in so much labor into doing it, but we had to. So some of these things have to begin at home. And then we come to the society. I give another example. Again, as a young child, there was a young man who had hired a room in my father's house at that time. And, one day, a hen in the compound laid an egg, and the egg was declared missing. We finally found out that it was stolen by that young man who had rented one room in my father's house. That same night, he packed. Don't tell me whether it was jungle justice or not. My father insisted a thief couldn't stay in his house. That same night, the man was made to pack his things. No matter where he was going to take them to, he had to. Now, let's come to school. When we get to the level of the school, for instance, right from, people still talk, we used to have moral education, we used to have, Bible knowledge in my school days, now called religious studies and all of that. But they all have become academic. There is really nowhere we emphasize, moral education, ethics education, and so on and so forth. I believe very strongly that first and foremost, we need to bring back these ideals into our educational system. And then we'll go from primary to secondary to the university level. There are no credit loads attached to anything that is character related in our training. And that is that's the sad story about it.
Yeah.
So almost everything we do, we're testing people on how much they can memorize notes, how much they can, perform in the examination, but there's nothing really that tests character. People go through school having exam misconduct cases, they are rusticated and brought back, and then at the end of the day, would say they are worthy in learning and in character. There is nothing that takes away from a student, for instance, who was caught copying in the exam hall. Nothing is taken away from this. Okay, he goes back, he's punished, he takes another 1 year, he comes back. But there's no downgrading of credit. Here we say this person is worthy in learning, in character and in learning. We emphasize character when we say it, but in reality, what we actually emphasize is learning. So this is important. And then we move away from the school that already have graduated students who are deficient in character and morals. I mean, give them a first-class degree, but failed in character. They won't go into the workplace. Most organizations don't also have time for ethics training. Even when you look at professional development program that people organize for during their in-service training, the emphasis is, let us upgrade your skills. We keep upgrading skills of people who remain consistently deficient in character. So over time, we are actually widening the gap. The gap between competence and character continues to widen up and so on and so forth. Now, finally, these persons get the opportunity to get into government, and then things, become something else. That's where we are today as a nation. I think we need to go back at the home front, at the elementary education level, secondary education level, at the university level. There has to be a way of ensuring that people, really ensuring that degrees are given first in character. And then before we begin to talk about learning. Otherwise, we will keep raising very intelligent criminals, people with first-class brains who have failed in character completely. And there's no way society can go forward if we continue to move in that direction.
Quite interesting and quite touching, the story you shared over your growing up experience and how your dad, reprimanded you guys on this. But do we still see this in our present generation? And most especially as we look at governance, for instance. A lot has been, witnessed even in the government levels in terms of their attitude to policy implementation, in terms of their, predispositions to the way they do things in the society. And do you see capacity that can be built at the level of the government that can also help this in the society?
Well, yes, the answer to that will be a clear yes. The question will be, do we have the commitment and the willpower to do the things that we ought to do? But I must quickly say here that one big challenge with ethics education is that the results are slow in coming. All right, so they are not things you do and then you automatically get the result today.
Oh.
Now, we're looking at people who are already competing in the art of stealing, right? That's not what's going to change overnight. And that's why we will continue to advocate that from the very beginning, it may take a while for things to change, but the earlier we start doing the right thing, the better for us. At the level of government as we speak, I mean, the bulk of people who work for government are in competition to steal. Who steals more? Who steals better? Who steals more intelligently at the most? So
are you saying there's no remedy at that level?
No, there is, but it's not going to be automatic.
It's not going to be automatic.
It's not going to be, that's why I started by saying that returns on ethics are not, are not in the short run.
And
right?
Again, we look at the need to have this training even at leadership level.
Absolutely so. And that's the point I made earlier, that even corporate organizations do not pay emphasis, don't give the right kind of attention to ethics training. That's why I mentioned, just go around the corporate organizations around you. I don't want to start with yours, but just go around. It's easy to say, let's train cameramen, for instance, let's train broadcasters on their technicality. How many organizations really take time to say, okay, let's, begin to inculcate ethics training in our professional development program? Not many people do. At the level of government, we can hear, policy retreat and so on and so forth. How much emphasis is laid on ethics? Why? And I also must say this here quickly, and that's the fact that most a number of organizations really are not interested. And the reason is because when you begin to inculcate in your workforce ethics ideals, values and morals, a number of organizations actually do not want to do that because they know they also want to cut corners. And that is unfortunate because you can't train me to be moral and ask me tomorrow to do things that are unethical that will bring in sharp gains, sharp practice or bring in immediate gains to the organization. People are profit-driven. People are result-driven without necessarily trying to find out what is the means to achieving this result. I mean, the popular saying is that, the ends justify the means. But that is wrong. The means should actually justify the end. If the means is wrong, then there's nothing right about the end at all. We can't keep trying to get results, whether as corporate organizations, whether at the level of state or national governance, when we're doing the wrong thing and we're expecting the right result.
Okay.
Go on.
You still have the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So until we learn to understand that we must apply the right means in getting the right result, we are going nowhere. To answer your question straight, the remedies are there, but they are never going to be automatic. The challenge we've always had as a nation, right from independence, is that we are short-sighted. We never consider the future. So whatever brings us immediate gain, we run for it. We don't ever remember that tomorrow is waiting. Look at all the errors we have made through independence. Lack of planning for the future. If you tell somebody now, let's begin to start ethics education at primary school level, secondary school level, at the university level or something of that nature, find a way to incorporate, how long will it take for it to begin to yield results? That's our mindset. And if we don't start, we will never begin to have results.
Okay, let's look at, because I know basically we can have some long-term plans, short-term plans to hit the goals.
Yes.
But let's look at the prospects, because I think it will be more appetizing if we see the benefits that this will bring, not just to the family or the individual, but to the society, not just to the corporate organization, but to the society at large. So what do you see as prospects if this can really be imbibed at every level?
Okay, well, first thing first, I think I rather want to start from the individual.
Okay.
First thing first, people should always realize, and that's the reality, that your integrity is a bigger asset than the money you have in the bank. There are many people who may not have cash in their pocket, but their names will open door. That didn't come cheap. That came because of consistency of character and integrity. Now, the same thing applies to the corporate organization. In the short run, you're going to probably, get involved in some sharp practices, make some, quick, rapid gains, and then you think you're flying up. I can give you countless examples, locally and globally, of organizations who took that part of, sharp practices, make quick gain, they grow financially, become mega organizations, and all at once, boom, they crashed. Because whatever is built by competence must be sustained by character. If you don't have that character to sustain, it's going to crash. So if any organization wants to have longevity of impact, it is important, right, that they ensure that character ethics and competence must coexist in their respective organization. There's a point you go to, you get to, and nobody takes you serious because, one, they have seen that you have not been consistent, even as a corporate organization. Nobody will take you serious. Oh, anytime you go to that shop to buy something, they use the back of the cup to measure rice for you. If you are cheated twice, you won't go back there a third time. So over time, you actually begin to pay back for the evils that you have committed earlier on. And that's why organizations crash who don't pay attention to ethics in the beginning. Initially, they begin to grow, skyrocket in their growth, and all of a sudden they crash. And they often crash when they get to the place of prime prominence, unfortunately. Now, if we go to the, national governance or governance at the state and so on and so forth, it's the same thing. No other nation or foreign investor will take you seriously if they know that character doesn't matter to you. Because people want their investment protected.
Yeah.
People won't never take a nation serious when they know that if they employ your nationals, that they are going to embezzle, they are going to steal, and so on and so forth. So when we're looking for foreign direct investment, question is, do we have the preparation of the heart to be able to attract people? Yes, you could have natural resources, you have, crude oil abundant everywhere, other natural resources abundant, but question is, do you have the prepared minds in terms of character that can drive these organizations? Sometimes we quarrel. We are forcing people now, to say, oh, there has to be local content. You have to employ, so number of people from within the community. The question is, why are we forcing it? If those who are going to hire know that they have the kind of people that they need to run the process, both in competence and character, why are we forcing them? It will be cheaper for them to hire here than to bring expatriates, from overseas to come and run the same process.
All right.
So on our front, we lose if we do not take this seriously.
Thank you so much. Quite timely to have this conversation in order to address the decadence, moral and ethic-wise that we have in the country, and most especially when we have the need to correct all of these ills and make Nigeria great again. Big thanks to you, Reverend Professor Jerry Orwe, who is the current member of the Governing Council, University of Benin, and of course, former Dean of the Faculty of Life Sciences, and he is the Senior Pastor of Grace Vine Chapel. I hope you oblige us in a subsequent interview.
Absolutely. So it's my pleasure being here to talk with the public and enlighten people.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so
coming
much
shortly is the issues that surrounds emergency role. And like we said earlier, democracy on trial. How do we tackle this? Looking at what we have before us in the country, and Rivers State as a case study in our discussion this day.